got a hat now. Welcome back to Garden 37, the not a podcast show where I talk about stuff that I made a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Welcome back, guys, to the show. It is I, Vilgot Pedersen, the host. Let's talk about what I did so far these past couple of days. I went to London, and you probably saw the result of that trip. While I was in London, I was doing something else, but while I was there, I recorded a music video, which currently at this time I'm halfway through finish editing. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the song. I love that song. One of the best I made. No, one of the best I pulled out. A lot of songs that I prefer that I haven't put out yet. What else? Last night I rewatched Infinity War, because it's been a long time I've seen that film, and I just want a refresher. Doomsday's coming out this year, which I'm half excited about, half what's funny? After watching Infinity War, I wasn't left with like, oh my god, this film was cool. Oh my god, I finished watching the film and I was like, all right, cool. Back to Thing, which I don't know, maybe because I watched it so many times, or the hype of all the previous movies before it has kind of withered away. It's like, you can't believe it. It's like 8 years. It's 8 years old, that film. 8 years, which is crazy. Like, you don't expect it. It feels so recent still, but I think it feels so recent because since then there's not been as many good movies to trump it. Really, Marvel has been not at the highest in quality level. Will Doomsday beat it? I doubt it, but that's enough Marvel talk. I talked about Spider-Man last week. Whoops. But yeah, other than that, I'm still in heaven. And I've been doing a lot of editing. I'm wearing a hat now because my hair is kind of messy. When is it not? It's been a year since I had a haircut. But I just want to see how long it grows. And so far, I think it hit its limit on how long it can grow. It won't go past the shoulders. Well, it kind of does a little bit, but it doesn't grow further than that. Maybe I'll tie up in like a Japanese style ponytail, like I'm a samurai or something. But yeah, that's about it. Let's go on to the first segment, album of the week. So, to be honest, let me be honest. Last week, since I was busy with a lot of stuff, I didn't get to listen to new albums. So I have like 2 albums I need to catch up this week. So I have to listen to 3 albums this week. But honorable mention, I re-listened to J. Cole's 2014 Forest Hill Drive because I listened to the intro like the other day, and man, it's a nice intro to that record, and that record as a whole is amazing, and it's nostalgic. Yeah. Now, in my opinion, oh, it's so dark. Sorry, I'm recording this later than usual, and also the camera's all smudgy. Now it seems better. I'm recording this late as usual because, I've been doing other stuff. But yeah, back to Forest Hill Drive. Not my favorite J. Cole album. I would give that to For Your Eyes Only. I prefer that record way more. I wouldn't say way more. Really good. I love that. I prefer that record. It's the one I connected do the most, more than Forest Hill Drive. There's some songs of Forest Hill Drive where I'm like, it's not really my type of thing. But this week's album of the week is the one album I listened to this morning. Actually, this during lunch, at lunchtime. Stillmatic by Nas, which I've only listened to Illmatic by Nas, to be honest, and hit a couple of his features. I went to listen to Stillmatic because I was interested in Ether. If you don't know Ether, it's Nas's response diss to Jay-Z's Takeover on Blueprint, and I'm a Jay-Z fan as well. So yeah, I went to listen to that song, and I'm like, nah, how about I listen to the whole record? That's what. So yeah, highlights of this, it's really good, very 2000s record. If you listen to it, you feel like you're back in the 2000s. I would say it's like very like, how Eminem's album and like old school Eminem and like old school 50 Cent albums are produced. It's very that and that style of rap, 2000s, with the slight electro and this electro drums with the soul sample, but it's still good. Shoutouts, I would highlights of this album: Ether, like I mentioned. Smoking is a really good one. It reminded me of the flow, at least the second verse of Smoking reminds me of the bridge part of Reincarnated by Kendrick Lamar. I would say, was it Mind Country, I think? No, it was Rule, which samples Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Everyone. I forgot the name of the band, let me look it up. Which it samples in a good way. It really does. It's not like recent, like when people sample old songs and reuse the hook in a nasty way. Like, for example, recent David Guetta song. Especially the I'm Blue one that you sampled, which was ass. But the sample used for that song is well used, and then it reminded me of the Marty Supreme ending. Tears for Fears, yeah, that's the band for the original sample. But yeah, good album. Nas barely disappoints. It would be surprising if he does. Yeah, if other honorable mentions, I've been listening again more to Alfredo 2, Freddie Gibbs and Alchemist. Last year I was bumping the album in Japan. It's amazing. Yeah.
Garden.
Now let's get to the main sauce of the show.
37.
I feel like I've blurted out through the first segment in the intro. I don't know why I'm starting to talk fast. Maybe the remnants of my coffee I drank. But yeah, today, last time we covered the music video of Me and My Bike, which came out last year. And after Me and My Bike, around that same summer, by the end of it, I released my first magazine. There is another one, which I released this year, which I don't know when we'll cover, but I want to draw attention to this magazine, which I worked on really hard, called Tree Tides. Just go over it, see, I think this is a good project of mine to look at now, because it has some of the early elements of my graphic design skills, or my first grasp of graphic design. And yeah, obviously throughout this, we're not gonna go through every page and overanalyze it. We're gonna just um, skim through most of them. But yeah, background of this project, what got me into doing a magazine. It's always been something in my mind. I always wanted to do some magazine stuff because I think magazines are fascinating to me because it's a stylish way of telling people what you love or what you're interested in, which is kind of journalism. Journalism is just telling your interest, but in a sophisticated way, or more sophisticated way. But this is unlike newspapers and stuff, which talk about news and stuff. Magazines more about there is trendy stuff, yes, but also there's more passion. It's more about the arts and the passion of some arts, which this Tree Tides was about. I was like, oh, funny enough, before this I was writing an essay for one of my university classes, which was about world cinema, and my subject was about Brazilian cinema, which throughout that class I got introduced to amazing Brazilian films like City of God. That is probably in my top 10 films of all time. Really good film, I recommend you to watch it. Bacurau was another one, which from memory, that was Brazilian. Yeah. Yeah, it was Brazilian. I was doubting if that was part of the Argentinian Argentinian cinema, but no, it's Brazilian. So I was writing about that, and I loved writing that essay. It was quite fun, and I'm like, I want to continue writing about stuff I'm passionate about. So that's how Tree Tides came about. And the process of Tree Tides was first the writing of every article. I would just write about article. First of all, I would I would list out or write all the stuff I wanted to include in the article through various mediums. I was like, oh, what should I write about from music side that I'm interested, or film side that I'm interested, or just art in general, or this and that. So yeah, and then I would I'd find stuff that I was interested in about and wanted to express, write about it, then I'd come to the design part. So let's start with the cover nonetheless. So the cover was taken in second mention of Odaiba in this series. This was taken in Odaiba. You've probably seen this picture. You saw the raw picture of this in the first episode because I used that picture to shout out Ben. Ben is in the cover. The font used on the cover is a font called Suds, which I like. It's like a nice cartoonish, cloudish vibe, which I like, and the logo is drawn by me on Photoshop, which is a tree tied. You see where the log of the tree would be is a tide, and then you have the leaves part, which the name Tree Tide came from when I was sitting at one of my favorite spots in Bath, and from where I was sitting in the spots of Bath, there's like a lot of trees that you can see, and I was like, oh, it's like waves of trees, tree tides. Oh, that would make sense for this magazine. The yellow part here, sorry, I'm using Windows, I forgot, Edge, Windows Edge, that's what it called. This part, the sporadic shape on his eyes, covering his eyes, that's inspired by this artwork that an artist and Frank Ocean did around like DHL times, and back when Frank Ocean was releasing singles for the supposed album, which has been denied. Oh Look, We're in Love or something. But yeah, and I was like, oh, I like that, those sporadic spiky shapes. To be honest, I could have made it a lot bigger, but hey. And yeah, photo taken by me with my camera. I remember we took this before we were gonna go to this indoor sports play park where me and Ben 1v1 in badminton, and I beat his ass. It's in the summer vlog I did for that year. But yeah. Now, credits, which we'll see: director, design, art, direction, writers. A lot of this magazine was based on this magazine called Cracked or Crack, which is I think Bristolian-based magazine. If you grab one of their issues, you'll see the design of it. It was quite crazy. It's an alternative music magazine. That, and my friend Jack passed me his old Vogue magazine, which I also had to look at, and it helped for me how to format the credits and what title goes behind it, bibliography. That's very student-like. This is actually one of my favorite articles of oh shit, you see a mistake there, of the magazine, the Traumatic Honesty, because it's something I was really interested at the time, how the effects that Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers had on the hip-hop scene, which I think not many journalists talk about. They more focus on the Drake beef and all that stuff, but there's a predecessor effect to that, which I state my case in this. I'm like, oh, Chromocopia was inspired by this, Dark Times, YG with his single, even Cousins. I learned how to do this in InDesign, which was good. The blocking, and especially this is like one of my first project files open on Photoshop. And I think it's the first time I learned how to use the noise filter. You can see this is the beginning of this, because if you see the second magazine I did for an assignment, you would see the pages have a lot more texture to it, while here is just a solid color shape, a color fill shape. And the writing here isn't as, you can read it, yes, but it doesn't punch you in the face, at least in this part. Yeah, it kind of loses it. I think I was focused more on the design than how it would display the writing, to be fair. Genre exploration, that was the thing I wanted to do. There's a lot of these type of articles where it's basically like recommendation articles, where I just list out, like, in a certain pocket of this genre, I'm like, oh, here are the best and the highlights of this genre, which this genre is anime dystopian, which I'm a big fan of that genre. My favorite anime of all time. Sorry, I was about to squash a bug. My favorite anime of all time is Evangelion, which fit into the anime dystopias. This cover is so you can see how badly selected it is here. Like, you see the rough cuts. Um, and then I have this part where I compare it to Western dystopia. This sometimes I would put ads in this in the magazine, like if it was an actual magazine. There's an ad for my music. There's also ad for like the short films we did on my second year. Like this is a friend of mine's short film. There's another one. Yeah, this is another one. Yeah. Oh, already at the end. This is also a photo I took, but now I know that I took this in Bath. I live there. Let's go through the articles again. Articles. This is another section of the magazine which was about locations, highlighting places that were meaningful to me. The Bell, which at the time I would go there so very regularly. Then my third year of university, once in a blue moon we would go there. I stopped going there because I don't know. I just cut down on my going out moments. But doing this is actually doing the article made me learn a lot about it. I'm like, wow, it taught me how big of a deal this place was, and it was backed by like I said, yeah, the lead singer of Led Zeppelin. I was like, what? It was crazy. This picture is also taken by me on my iPhone. One thing I'll say about doing this project, it got me a step close into learning more about typography, like what fonts to choose, how to display them. Obviously here some of the shit is barely readable, but I was very meticulous on what fonts I should use for each article. And also it taught me a lot about InDesign and how that works, and also obviously for Photoshop, the first steps of learning Photoshop. I think if I didn't do this project, it wouldn't have led me into learning more and more about graphic design and Photoshop, and to the skills I have now with graphic design. This article was a spur of the moment article. Literally, I was working on something and then I saw there was like a ladybug on my backpack, as you can see. And then, yeah, I made that this text is barely readable. I would justify it by saying, oh, you can zoom in and then you can read it, but even then. One thing at the time I didn't know, but if you render the color here feels washed out, but on the project file it's much more it strikes out more. And I learned this recently when I was doing my second magazine, that I rendered this not in RGB, which is why it's not as striking, but I rendered this in CMK, which makes a difference because it changes how the colors are programmed. So RGB stands for red, blue, and green, which is usually how your computer operates, how your computer displays color. But the second version, CYMK, is there because that's how old magazines, old comic books, and old newspapers would print out the colors. So like, for example, if you go to your printer, the color cartridges on that printer isn't red, blue, and green. It's normally like yellow, cyan, and pink, which I know of because my dad owned a printer, and sometimes you had to buy cartridges to replace, and sometimes I had to replace them myself for printing my schoolwork and stuff. So the color here, they look fade out because of that effect. At least it's more noticeable here for me, because here it would be more of a striking red at the time. But yeah, also an objective of this magazine was truly to learn more about stuff. So yeah, I was like, oh, why not? It was a curiosity based project, so why not learn more about ladybugs? Which if you ask me anything about ladybugs and what I wrote in this article, I wouldn't be able to retell you any of it. I forgot it all after writing this. This article goes in the same thing as genre exploration, but this time for music, Shibuya Kei. A lot of Japanese focused things. If you pay attention. Probably because I grew up there and I want to represent my home city. Shibuya Kei, which I was very heavy on at the time. Listen to any of these albums. Silent Lovers, love that album. Silent Puji used to be my top 10 albums. I don't know about now. I really love that album still, but Fishman's is a great one. Recommended to me by a friend. Lamp is also amazing. This is also a big thing because Shibuya Kei is kind of reviving itself in the same way as like City Pop does. Also, I learned how to use like the background. I learned how to do gradients and also halftones. That's my first experiment with those two things on Photoshop, which I haven't done much since. But I love how this is. I love the color of this. They're very diverse in color. This project, which I want it to be. I didn't want to stick to like a specific color scheme. I really wanted each article to stand out. The next one, Ben's rant. One thing I wanted in this, I didn't want this to save me some work, but also to make it more collaborative. I wanted more articles involving my friends. For example, Ben's rant, which is from Ben, I knew I could get an easy rant on Ben about anime because he always rants about anime and some stuff about it, which I have listened to. So I was like, hey, for my magazine type stuff, can you write me some like random rant about anime and stuff? And he did. Over the years, we otakus or weebs, if you will, have been cast aside, ridiculed, and socially exiled for our undying devotion to 2D characters and emotional devastating story arcs. Wow. Ben wrote an article about LARPing before LARPing became a mainstream thing. That's crazy. This magazine right here is ahead of its time. Trust me. People are gonna talk about more about how Mr. Morales was more of an impact than GNX. Mark my words. If not, people, I will be the front runner of that and make it big. With everything along the side, the Bell will be a big pub in Bath. Will be the pub in Bath. Other than, what's the most popular pub in Bath right now? I don't fucking know. Grapes. Similar to the shout out section in this series, I had kind of like a shout out thing in this article, because why not? I really wanted to highlight some of the people I follow on Instagram that I really like Pelicast, which I really like his work. I think it tickles my you know, if you like Where's Waldo, you will like his photography, because as you can see, you can see there's Paula Rudd there, and there's a lot of crazy shit even here. But yeah, this I would say this is one of the most well designed article, except for the weird lining thing here. But I would say the text wise, display wise is well designed. I would say the Shukuya K1 still holds up. Other than that, like these beginning articles, even the Bell one, I think this background beef one kind of clashes with the text, and this one's kind of too plain. It needs more texture. I think this one it works without the texture. I think the photography justifies the text part having no noise or stuff like that. This one is another one. This is also coming off of my World Cinema stuff. Samurai or Cowboys, same story, different paint. An entire article on the basis of me finding out the fact that what's the name? What's the name of it? A Fistful of Dollars is a ripoff of Yojimbo, and like taking it more, saying, oh, actually it makes sense. Samurai and Cowboys have similar stories, similar eras. Makes sense that, you know, why a samurai sword can be easily disguised as a cowboy's. Part of this was done using Adobe Illustrator because of the vector shapes, as you can see with the splashes. It's meant to reflect like painting splashes or like calligraphy splashes, which here, as you can see, fucking totally clashes with the text. God damn. But also you can see the mistake on that. Like, for example, here there's some smudging on the second page. Or here you see there's like a white blank spot. With the fucking most non-high definition picture ever. Yeah, this is another article that doesn't hold up. But yeah, I mean the design doesn't hold up. I'll make it better. But yeah, also had a specific format. If you think about it, on every article, it will either be huge image, big wall of text, then half of it would be image, and then conclusion image or introduction, or conclusion text or introduction text. For example, huge image, wall of text, images, conclusion, final parts with conclusion. This one is kind of like the outlier, but still, image, introduction. Well, this is kind of like an outlier. What's another one? This two. This one. Image, introduction, text. Same thing. Image, introduction, same thing. I had a repetitive format. Same thing with the photographer focus, artist focus. Aaron Hansen, which actually is a really good painter. Check it out. It's not a shout out part yet, but still. Check out Pelicast and Pelicast. I pronounce it Pele. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but check out both of them. I like her. She coined the terms open impressionism, which I really like. It does feel like a painting when you take it's like the world if you took acid. That's how I would describe her paintings, and very colorful scenery. Those are my favorite types of painting. Landscape, very colorful landscapes, which her art definitely achieves. Also, artist focus, Inner Wave, a band that I really love. Fun fact about this band: they were kind of like the band that soundtracked my transition from going out of high school to moving to Bath into uni, because I would listen to a lot to them summer of 24 and summer of 24 till like beginning months in Bath, in similar way that Strokes did for end of my uni days to my first days here in heaven. But yeah, shout out to them too. Underrated band, very underrated. This is surely my top 10 bands, top 10 albums. I would recommend all of these albums, but this one for sure. And funny enough, this was written like after I listened to Is This It for the first time and stuff, and while re-listening to their albums to write this article, I noticed how much similarity they had to the Strokes. I'm like, oh my god, this album is like the Strokes and stuff like that. And I would put in the article, I'm like, oh, like they have some elements of the Strokes, as you can see here. Strokes debut album. Which they do have, but they have their own. This one, I actually think I nailed the design, because it fits in line a lot with their last album, which I was trying to do. Maybe this image could be high definition. I don't know why there's a low opacity in this, but yeah. But I think I fit in line. What happening in the world? Well, first of all, spelling it. What's happening in the world of, which is inspired by my friend James, who has his own article also in this magazine. Because he always, at the time, every time we would meet up, he would always say, "So what's happening? What's happening in the world of Vilga or a certain person?" And I noticed that, and I wanted to have like a submission column, kind of like you would have in newspapers and stuff like that, which I did, which was, to be honest, a hassle. I had to literally text back to some of my friends like, "Hey guys, please, can I have some responses?" Which I did, and some of these I really like this one, about the story of just one of the worst science experiment classes, where I was grouped up with like two idiots. Yeah, which I like having this column. Still love the collaborative feel of it. Video games is Super Smash Bros, which I'm a big fan of, and talking about how I love this part. I love this part and the rainbow gradient here, and the scale part here. I'm a Donkey Kong main on Super Smash Bros. But yeah, which I think this article holds up. To this day, there hasn't been a true contender of Super Smash Bros. Not up to this level. In the same way as like people talk about how Pal World could be the next contender of Pokemon, but ever since their huge big boom, we haven't heard much about Pal World. One of my friend, Ben, is championing that Hytale. Almost said a bad word. Hytale would be the true competitor to Minecraft, which it might for a bit, but then it will wither away like the supposed competitor of Super Smash Bros. And Pokemon with Power World. Because it's hard to compete. It is an uphill battle when you're trying to compete with these big name brands who did innovate this certain standard. It is rare these days, but it does happen. For example, Obsession is a big example of how a small scale thing that just popped up is now a huge competitor against Scream and all that stuff that have very diluted its it's movies and stuff, or like the big name horror movies in general that have just copy and pasted the similar storylines, which, yeah. Film focus. Edge of 17, I actually love this film. Which is funny, it went in line with, I remember watching Edge of 17 for this article, and then watching Sinners, and you see a huge difference between Haley Steinfeld in Edge of 17, where she's like a teenager, like being a teenager and stuff, to Sinners, where she's talking about coots and stuff, which was like, I was like, it's like going from like the bitterest coffee to the sweetest drink ever, or going to the sweetest drink ever to the bitterest coffee. That makes more sense. I love how I made the background reflect her jacket, which I really want to own that jacket myself. If people know where to get something like that, DM me or something. Another location dear to my heart, Sunshine City. The design that came behind it was inspired by it. If you go to Sunshine City, there's a lot of white, as you can see in that image, but also a lot of light blue. If you go into any 90% of Tokyo, the buildings are white. Japanese people love their white in general. When it comes to cars, when it comes to their buildings, when it comes to any design part, it's just white. White is their favorite color in Japan, which I noticed when the most recent time I went to Japan. Like, I noticed like the whole city is white. Like, there are some buildings that don't follow white, and like there are some brick buildings or some more traditional buildings that are more wood. But even the traditional buildings, they have I forgot what's the name of the papery walls of the tatami rooms. They're still all white. The walls, I forgot, even the traditional wall stuff, they're white. You see the old castles, it's white. Like, Japan has an obsession with white. But yeah, Sunshine City, a mall I would go to every week. If you're gonna ask me what's the quintessential mall I grew up with, Sunshine City is it. Now it's mostly known for having the Pokemon Center, but I knew Sunshine City before I had the Pokemon Center, so I'm not a LARPer. What if you ask me is it a recommendation? Would I recommend to visit this on your trip to Japan? Not really. It's just a mall, to be honest. Probably way more. I mean, you might have a good time there. There's a lot of stuff, like I say in the article. Like, they have an aquarium. They have I forgot what it was, but like some top deck, like some amusement activity part on like one of the tall parts of the building, where you have a nice view of the city. They have like several like indoor amusement parks. There's a lot to do in Sunshine City, but I wouldn't recommend that being on your priority list to go there in Tokyo. There's a lot more adventurous places to go than this mall. Yeah. Or if you're a Pokemon fan, yes, you can go to the Pokemon Center there. There's one in Shibuya, which I recommend going to the Ikebukuro one because it's less crowded than the one in Shibuya or in Shinjuku. How Not to Rob a Bank, one of my friends' films, James, which this is his article. One of his other bits, Rap of the Day, which at the time, which was just his jokes and stuff. Another well-designed article. I would make this. Maybe I would. Nah, I think the text feels right. I designed this to make it look like a menu from like a Mexican restaurant. Because Rap of the Day is referring to the Rap of the Day in McDonald's, which they are discontinuing. Fuck you, McDonald's. Like, £2. It used to be straight up £2. They've raised that up by 30. They made it £2 like 29 at one point. Garson's Cooking, which is just me putting my hypothetical recipes. If you're gonna ask me if I made this curry monster, I've never. But I would, if I have those resources, I would make it at one point. Because this sounds in concept like a good meal. Maybe I would replace the ham with something else. Because, what is it? 2 pieces of bread, make curry, add ham and curry sauce in the middle of the 2 pieces of bread, add curry sauce on top of the completed sandwich, eat the... Oh yeah, curry monsieur. Yeah, because it's inspired by croque monsieur, which instead of curry, it would be bechamel sauce, which my dad used to make a lot of when I was staying in Japan. So that's where I got the idea. I was like, oh, it'd be interesting if you replace the bechamel sauce with the curry. But I think I should maybe replace the ham with like maybe chicken or more of a traditional meat that would go well with curry. Sorry, I just checked my phone and Be Real went off. Got my eyes open. This is a Not in Crack magazine that would have like in the middle of the magazine that would have a spread page for design, which this design used to be my background of this PC, which isn't anymore now. It's Tread Garden stuff. Got my eyes open, referring to an ad limb on Igor's theme, which I like. Instagram music video montage is video collage, which that might be. Wait, actually, I showed on this article. I like that the fact that I designed this to look like the old school Instagram app icon before they turn into a gradient, and this looks like just Reels pages. This is well designed. This is one thing. I would add obviously texture here. I would add texture in general. There's not the high pass texture thing that I used on a lot of my design. Trowbridge, which I made it look like a Lord of the Rings pub place. If you don't know about Trowbridge, head down to Trowbridge, bro. I had a day in Trowbridge and it was an amazing day. Which this was just inspired to that one day I was there, and we went to a museum. Shout out to Harley, who's from Trowbridge, my friend Harley. Yeah, this was inspired by that one day where me and my friends spent in Trowbridge, and I pitched to randomly go to the Trowbridge Museum, and the curator was so surprised that youngins like us would come to that museum and like visit. And I guess he was like asking, what year would you guess that like because Trowbridge was known for its mill factories. Is that what you call it? It was known for that, like factories that would like sew, like how back in old times, like you had big machines just to sew like sew garments and stuff. And Trowbridge was very known for that. And then he talked about how that big factory closed, and he was like, "Oh, guess when those factory closes?" And I got the year right, and he was impressed. So yeah, don't ever question me about Trowbridge. Fun fact: Kim Jong-un's favorite pub is from Trowbridge, and he liked it so much that he shipped brick by brick the pub into Korea and North Korea, and it is North Korea's essential pub. Another fun fact, which I heard it randomly in a video, and I told Harley, was like, did you know this? It's crazy. Tomorrow. One of my favorite books of all time. Read this book. It's amazing. I read it one summer, and this is one of the rare books that got me to stay up late to finish reading. It is a page turner. Read it. It's like a life story around these characters that are game coders and are passionate about games. It's really good. This is based on the artwork of the book, which I have on my shelf, which is the Kanagawa Lake with this rainbow gradient. And then I made my own version with another Hokusai painting, the Mount Fuji. And yeah, this is also well designed, I would say. Fits in line really good with the book. History Rewind shirts, which, as you can see in me and my bike music video, I wore a lot of. And I just go into the whole detail of, how did Hawaiian t-shirts go? Became very popular. To be honest, this is not well designed. It feels a little bit tacky, make everything Hawaiian t-shirts pattern. This one is also another pitch, cooking the breakfast pizza, which I want to try. Honestly, next time me and my friends hang out together and we ever end up in a kitchen together, we should make these recipes. Breakfast pizza? Like, come on, doesn't that sound delicious? Like, it's like with almond and bacon pieces and cheese, like come on, that sounds delicious to me. It's like basically me pitching recipes, and ending with the film. One of my friends fed the film guys film, canned, really good short film. But yeah, that's just me going through a rough run through of the magazine. A big takeaway of this magazine, I would say, is honestly, this magazine was just for me to up my skill in general. That was the point of this magazine, to really get more experience on my writing skills, which would you say, if you would say I've gotten better or not at writing since? I don't know, I think that's staying the same. If you ask my friend Ben, he would say probably worsened, because since I've suck at rereading my work, and I did for this, there's probably a lot of typos that I missed. My Photoshop skills, which at time it was a beginner level, it's to be honest, this is the first ever project that I worked on this laptop. I bought this laptop during that summer, and then first days of using this laptop was for this. And obviously since then, I've gotten way better at my Photoshop skills, way better at my InDesign making magazine skills. I might one day show my second magazine and have a compare and contrast between this one and the previous one. But honestly, I think this magazine is very pivotal, because this was the gateway to me digging more into my Photoshop graphic design work later on, and how Trey Garden's design and whole thing got to be, because this has like my first couple of days of opening Photoshop and figuring out, what does this do and this stuff. Noise, how do you add like that some of that texturing on the image. Oh, noise filter. Oh, the select subject tool, the erasing and all that stuff. Oh, the vector shapes, which I haven't used. I don't use the pen tool that often, but I have. The InDesign, or how to lay out pages and stuff, and how to use the text box and stuff. The font choices and stuff, the gradients, the halftone, and yeah. So honestly, it's as nostalgic as listening to Me and My Bike, because when I listen to Me and My Bike, I listen to, or Summer. When I listen to Summer, I listen to my entryway to music making, and I see, oh, this is where it all started, and it's like a nice frame of reference of where I was at the time and where I've grown since. So yeah, Tree Tides is that, and I'm so happy to what it got to be. And maybe one day there'll be an issue 2 of Tree Tides. Whenever I feel like it. It'll be fun. Maybe it'll coincide the release of my second album. Probably not. I don't know. Probably not. But yeah. Shoutouts. So, shout out of this week, which I've mentioned a lot of friends today, but you know what, I want to shout out, let's shout out James, because James was a big part of, another huge chunk of Tree Tides. James, who's a really nice guy, really goofy guy, 100% committed to any ridiculous ideas of activities and stuff like that. If you need the biggest cheerleader of your work or stupid ideas, James is that guy for you. So shout out to you, James Mant. I want specific James Mant, because I have a lot of friends that are called James. So yeah, as for the Instagram account, obviously I'm gonna do this last minute, so we'll see you when I get an Instagram up. Our Instagram shout out account of today, if his Instagram page will load, because for some reason it isn't, is Francesco Luporoso, which is a tattoo artist that does amazing watercolor Japanese-based tattoos, which I love. He does also like a lot of like chibi Godzilla art, which I really love. As you can see, he does the watercolor, and then he probably paints it on people. But I just really love his art style. It's very cartoonish. I love the watercolor, the Godzilla. I love this it's really beautiful, very beautiful, very beautiful drawings and stuff, especially his Godzilla ones, like this one he put up recently, which is them on motorcycles and stuff. I just love how the gradient that the watercolor gives off and stuff. It's like a mixture of, it's like that thing, it's a mixture of like the old school like Hokusan type paintings, where it was like watercolor with the gradient stuff, but with the chibi art style of like recent Japanese art, and this is the product of it. He really does a lot of good stuff, and also it calls back to a lot of like stuff I grew up with, like Kamen Rider, which I didn't grow up with specifically with that one, but I grew up with Godzilla was everywhere. Yeah, dragon stuff also reminds you of you would see this art style around like temples, Japanese temples, I think, at least in traditional like when it reminds me of like how people would draw Japanese demons in like old school paintings. Like obviously he has a much more bold lines and there's more gradient to it, but it reminds me of that, like a modern version of these drawings. Wait, what's in there? I want to like I'm trying to find like something similar to his art style. But yeah, I can't find it. Well, I thought Momotaro would be a good frame of reference. But yeah, really cool artist. And yeah, let's wrap up the show.
Garden.
That's gonna be it for this episode of Garden 37. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed me going through my first magazine that I ever made. Next week, I don't know, maybe I'll do something more, something less, something not during the last year summer time frame. Maybe I'll do something a little bit more recent. We'll see. But for now, see you next time.